Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. Every once in a while, we take a sidestep and maybe not feature an organization or ministry, but a person with a neat story to tell. And today is one of those days. We are so happy and really privileged to welcome Jennifer Porter to the studios today. And Jennifer has been featured in a book about modern day miracles. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning.
I need you to tell me, first of all, what is the name of the book?
When God Happens.
When God Happens.
True
Okay.
Stories of Modern Day Miracles.
When God Happens, and then subtitle, True Stories of Modern Day Miracles. How did they find you?
I saw an advertisement on Bill Meyer's page,
Mm-hmm.
and it was looking for modern day miracles. I sent in a synopsis, and I got a reply back 5 minutes later. This is good. If you can write it, it's what we're looking for.
Mm.
I wrote it out, and I expected something like, congratulations, you have been chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And instead I got back a letter that just said, we really think God is going to use this.
Wow. Wow.
I even like that better.
Yeah, better than congratulations. You've been accepted. Your submission or is in consideration. But we really believe God is going to use this.
We really believe God.
Okay, that was from the authors. Then, of course, when something like that happens, you can expect some pushback from other places. So you've also been told, don't tell anyone your testimony. It's just a little bit too powerful.
Strange, scary.
Mm-hmm.
Right from the start, I was told not to share it. Right from the start, they took my testimony and said to sanitize it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that I was taking the glory away from God when He'd saved me. Absolutely saved
when
me.
He reaches into the dark, dark places and rescues us and shines light into the darkness. So we do want to have a bit of a disclaimer today to say what you're going to hear is pretty strong. This is an amazing story. It's a true story. It's what God did. So we don't want to take away, as you say, anything from His glory and what He did. And like that woman who lost the coin, searching into every crevice of her house until she found it, He went into that dark, dark place and pulled you out literally. And I can't wait for people to hear this. But be aware that if you have little ones in the room, it might be a good time to take them somewhere else or listen to the podcast of this later on, because this is not one for little ears. No. And you're shaking your head no. So Jen, let's start. Let's start with your teen years. What kind of a relationship did you have with God, if any?
Strangely enough, I'll go back to when I was 9. I was at the Canfield Fair,
Mm-hmm.
and I was walking around by myself, and this woman pulled me into a trailer, which nowadays you think, that's horrifying.
Yeah, just in itself.
And she started to tell me about Jesus, and she pulled out the Wordless book, which is the different pages. Red is for the blood of Christ.
Love that.
And she went through all of these different pages, and she said, now, without Jesus, our hearts are black. And she asked me if I wanted to ask Jesus into my heart so that my heart would be clean and renewed. And of course I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked Jesus into my heart, but I didn't know what to do with it. And anyway, that's just an aside. And
But it was the beginning.
It was the beginning
seed.
of thinking, that's what I want. But I did not live my life as a Christian, did not know how to live my life as a Christian. And so about 12, my parents bought a lot up at Holiday Camplands, which is in Andover, Ohio, northeastern Ohio. And it's just west of Pymatuning. Lake Pymatuning. And so I was there. That's what I did in my summers. And I made friends about 2 blocks around our lot because my mother had a rule. She was a school teacher and had seen a lot of bad things. And so I couldn't go anywhere without a friend.
Right, buddy
The
system.
buddy system was big.
Yeah, you feel like that's safe.
Well,
Safer. Right.
And there's a lake and there's a pool. And so we couldn't go anywhere. And it was a long walk to the pool. Someday I need to go back and look at it. Felt like a long walk back then. And I saw my friend arrive. I played with her before, but it was always jacks and swimming and that type of thing. And when I saw, I'm like, Mom, can I go? And I ran over and I helped them clean up their lot because it was the only way I was going swimming that day. And finally, she was given the go to the pool. And we went up, we swam all day, and then we danced. And on our way back, it was dark, but we had our flashlights. And we passed this lot that had a giant fire. And the kids just seemed so nice, but they were older than us. And they let us in. They're come on in. And we got there and they shared their potato chips and pop, and that really struck me. And
did any? Let me stop you right there. Did anything about them seem off or strange?
No.
Nothing.
No, it did not.
And this would have been what year?
1977.
Okay, so about a time when a lot of kids would be dressing, pretty that hippie style, and
they probably were that, but
and a lot of communal living, and a lot of So it wouldn't have seemed odd at all.
No,
they just seemed friendly.
They just seemed friendly, and I have older brothers and an older sister, and so whatever came out of my mouth usually was met with.
Yeah.
And these kids were interested in what we had to say. They were laughing at our jokes. They were really pulling us in. And we were so excited when we went home because I had to be home by midnight. That was the rule. I mentioned that school teacher mother. She was tough. So I knew. And we were on our way back and we were laughing about how it was going to be the best summer ever, and got permission from my mom to go to the next night's party. And she came over, did my hair, and we were on our way to where I thought was the lot that had the fire that was near the teen center. And this car pulls up, and I felt bad about it right away. I was nervous right away. And I should have just turned around and left. I should have just said, well, I'm not going, and gone back. I would do that today.
So this party was not taking place at the same place that you had first met these kids the night before. This was a car pulling up to take you somewhere else.
But I did not know that.
Right, and you had a sick feeling in your stomach about it.
My mom always said, be aware of your surroundings.
Yes.
If you start to feel nervous, get out. Walk away.
What did you do, Jen?
Well, the girl that I was with started to make fun of me and said, get in the car. Come on, your mom doesn't have to know everything. And she started pushing me into the car, and I said, no, I'll walk. No, I know where it is. I'll go there.
This was your buddy system friend?
This was my buddy system friend.
Okay.
So she was
encouraging you to go along with the big kids, with the older kids.
Without a doubt, and that I was embarrassing her, and I got in. But within about a minute, I knew that they were taking us off of the holiday campland grounds. And I said, I can't do this.
Right.
And I started to beg, just let me out of the car. Just let me out here. I'll walk back. It's not that bad. And the girl slammed me back against the seat and said, shut up, Jen. Shut up. And, you're embarrassing me. And I sat back and I started to watch where we were going. And I thought, okay, we're heading towards Andover. We're heading south. And they turned onto the causeway, which takes you into Pennsylvania. And I was out of my mind.
So you were leaving the state.
I was leaving the state, which I now know is kidnapping.
Yes.
You can't take a minor across the state line.
Right.
And I started making a map in my head. Okay, as soon as I get there, I'm walking back. I can still walk back. And finally, we pulled up to this house. There was a bonfire. That wasn't a lie. And when I turned to, I'm walking back, they pushed me into the house. And that's when I realized that I was in trouble.
Yeah.
We walked into the house, and there was a strong stench of marijuana, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. And there were drugs everywhere. They were all over the table. It was, if it had been M&Ms and Skittles and all of that, but they were just drugs in all different colors. And my mother's voice was in my head saying, okay, touch nothing, eat nothing, not water, not candy, nothing.
Yeah.
Just stay away from people. Don't even let them touch you.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend got up and she shoved handfuls into her pockets. And I said, are you out of your mind? The police could come. We got to get out of here. And she was just mad at me, and it didn't go well.
How many people were there, are you saying?
They lined the walls. So it felt like a lot of people because everywhere I looked, there were kids kind of on top of kids.
And this was a house maybe that they all lived in?
One of those little salt box houses.
Yes. Uh-huh. And did anyone live there? Did they all live there? Or this was the gathering place?
There was no sign of, well, back to the story.
Yeah.
I saw all the kids, and once again, my mom was in my head. Don't make eye contact. Mm-hmm. Do not make a friend. Just get out of there. And I was sitting on the floor next to the girl, and the door opened across from me. And I thought, I don't even know what I'm seeing. It looked like a room full of pigs. And then I realized that there was an orgy going on in there.
Oh, my.
And it was, so this is why children shouldn't be listening.
Oh, my.
And I'd heard about that kind of thing, but I was, I mean, I'm sure my mouth was just gaping open. Yeah. And I just was staring, and finally the door shut, and I thought, wow, it's like a phone booth full of naked people. And I thought, oh, a phone. I got to find a phone. If I could just find a phone, then I could call my mom and she could get there. And even as I was going through that, I thought, what would I do? I'd call Holiday Camplands, talk to the guy at the front and say, hey, could you go and try and find my mother? And so I didn't know whether I'd even find anybody. But when I went into the kitchen, and at that point, nobody was paying attention to me. It was maybe they were already stoned. I don't know. And I started opening up cabinets really gently because I didn't want to draw attention to myself. And there was nothing, not glasses,
so no
sign
food.
of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked out the back door, and there was a circle to my right of kids that were all, it was a giant circle of people that were chanting. And I just gave them wide berth. And I don't know, I don't want to be a part of this. And I hid towards the fire, and there was a fire, and somebody had rolled firecrackers. And so they were popping, so they kept me on edge. But when I started to look, I even thought, I'll just steal a bike. There has to be a dirt bike here somewhere, or a bicycle or something. I've got to get out of here. And I looked around, and there were guards at the edges of the property.
It was being guarded.
It was being guarded.
Did they have weapons?
No,
but just strong-armed.
If they had weapons, they were men, and they were smoking. So I could actually see the cigarette lighting up as they smoked. I don't know.
But strong men
But I didn't go near them.
Yes, so smart. Well, I'm looking at the clock. We need to take a short break. Don't go away, because this scary story has an amazing ending. Just stay tuned to hear how God intervened in this situation and in Jen's life. That's after these words. You're listening to Our Community.